It happens in an instant. You're driving home or maybe just running errands when the flashing lights appear in your rearview mirror. Your stomach tightens, hands grip the wheel a little tighter, and your mind races. What now? The officer approaches, eyes sharp, hand near the belt, and then they speak. "Can I ask you a few questions?" Words matter. One careless phrase can escalate the encounter. But here's the question. Which things people say almost automatically could get them into trouble, even if they've done nothing wrong? Let me know your guess in the comments below. Across the United States, law enforcement interactions are shaped by federal constitutional protections, like the Fourth Amendment, and a patchwork of state-specific traffic laws. The Supreme Court, in cases such as Terry v. Ohio, has established that officers may briefly stop and question individuals only when there is reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. But beyond legal statutes, courts pay close attention to tone, phrasing, and demeanor during these stops. The reality is simple. You don't have to say everything that pops into your head. Certain phrases can unintentionally escalate tension, even if your intent is to assert your rights. For example, saying, "I know my rights" in a confrontational tone can raise suspicion, whereas a calm, polite, "Am I free to go?" shows awareness without challenge. Example from California. In 2019, a passenger calmly asked, "Am I legally required to show ID?" during a traffic stop. The officer paused, clarified the legal grounds for the stop, and allowed the passenger to leave without escalation. The phrasing and tone were crucial. Example from New York. In 2020, a pedestrian refused to answer questions aggressively, saying, "You can't stop me." The encounter escalated into temporary detainment, illustrating that even technically correct statements can backfire if delivered improperly. Why this matters? Your words are legally significant. Courts have repeatedly ruled that behavior and communication are considered alongside the legal rights themselves. Assert rights respectfully, and you are far more likely to navigate stops safely. Top 5 phrases to avoid. Phrase number 1, "I know my rights." At first glance, this seems harmless, even empowering, but the way you say it can completely change the outcome of a stop. Courts in multiple states, including Texas and Florida, have observed that saying this aggressively or in a confrontational tone can escalate tension. Officers may interpret it as defiance rather than awareness. Example: in Houston, Texas, a driver said loudly, "I know my rights," when asked for ID during a stop. The officer responded by ordering the driver out of the vehicle and issuing a citation for obstructing a lawful investigation. Had the driver simply asked politely, "Am I legally required to provide my ID?" the encounter could have ended peacefully. Legal takeaway: knowing your rights is crucial, but stating them incorrectly can undermine the situation. Tone, timing, and phrasing matter as much as the legal content. Phrase number 2, "You can't stop me." This is almost guaranteed to escalate any stop. Even if you are technically correct in certain circumstances, this phrase challenges the officer's authority. In the U.S., officers are allowed to detain individuals temporarily if reasonable suspicion exists, and aggressively asserting defiance gives them cause to escalate. Example: in New York City, a pedestrian uttered, "You can't stop me," during a minor traffic enforcement encounter. The individual was detained temporarily and later received a warning. The courts later recognized that the escalation could have been avoided with calm phrasing. Legal takeaway: avoid direct confrontation. Instead, politely ask clarifying questions like, "Am I being detained?" or "Am I free to leave?" This phrasing is both legally safe and respectful. Phrase number 3, "I don't have to answer you." While technically accurate in many contexts under the Fifth Amendment, this phrase can be risky if said abruptly or without explanation. Courts have noted that officers may perceive this as non-compliance or obstruction, especially if the stop occurs in a high-tension situation. Example: in a 2021 traffic stop in California, a passenger said, "I don't have to answer you." The officer detained the individual for further questioning until the situation was clarified. The passenger could have simply asked, "Am I required to respond in this situation?" which would have preserved rights without escalation. Legal takeaway: assert your rights, but do so respectfully and with clarity. Tone can protect you as much as knowledge. Phrase number 4, "Why are you stopping me?" repeatedly. Asking for the reason once is legally fine and even expected. but repeating the question multiple times or demanding an answer aggressively can create unnecessary tension. Officers must have a legal justification for the stop, but pressing the question without calm can be interpreted as obstruction or hostility. Example: in Florida, a driver repeatedly asked, "Why are you stopping me?" after an initial polite inquiry. The officer escalated by issuing a citation and conducting additional checks. A calm follow-up like, "Could you please explain the reason for the stop?" would have sufficed. Legal takeaway: stay calm. Your goal is clarity, not confrontation. Courts favor individuals who assert rights respectfully. Phrase number 5, you're breaking the law. Even if you believe an officer is acting outside their authority, directly accusing them of illegal conduct can escalate situations rapidly. In U.S. case law, verbal accusations can lead to citations or temporary detention for disorderly conduct or interference with an investigation. Example: in Texas, a motorist yelled, "You're breaking the law," during a routine stop. The situation escalated, and the individual faced a minor citation. Had the person asked, "Am I required to comply in this situation?" the outcome would have been far safer. Legal takeaway: instead of accusations, focus on neutral, legally precise language that clarifies your rights without creating confrontation. Which of these phrases do you think is the most commonly said by people during stops, even unknowingly? Share your answer in the comments below. I want to see your experiences with real traffic stops. What to say? Instead, protect your rights safely. Now that we've identified the top 5 phrases you absolutely shouldn't say to police, let's discuss what you should say instead. The key is clarity, calmness, and legal accuracy. Safe phrase number 1. Am I free to leave? This simple question is recognized by courts across the U.S. as a neutral, non-confrontational way to assert your Fourth Amendment rights. Example: in California, a passenger politely asked, "Am I free to leave?" during a traffic stop. The officer explained the situation regarding the driver, and the passenger was allowed to exit without issue. Why it works: you are neither challenging the officer nor obstructing their duties. You are simply seeking clarification on your legal standing. Safe phrase number 2. Am I being detained? Similar to the first phrase, this helps clarify whether the interaction is voluntary or if you are legally required to stay. Example: in New York, a pedestrian asked this question during a sidewalk stop. The officer confirmed it was voluntary and no further action was taken. Courts have consistently ruled that asking this is protected and reasonable. Safe phrase number 3. Can you please explain why I'm being stopped? Asking for a polite explanation demonstrates cooperation and situational awareness. Avoid demanding or confrontational tones. Example: in Florida, a driver asked, "Can you please explain why I'm being stopped?" calmly. The officer gave a clear explanation regarding a minor traffic infraction, and the stop concluded smoothly. Legal takeaway: tone is critical. Polite requests for clarification are viewed favorably in courts and prevent escalation. Safe phrase number 4. I am happy to cooperate, but I would like to understand my legal obligations. This phrase combines respect with awareness. It signals that you are informed without being confrontational. Example: in Texas, a passenger used this exact phrasing when asked for ID during a stop. The officer recognized the respect in communication, and the passenger avoided unnecessary detainment. Safe phrase number 5. Recording statement. If you're recording, you can calmly say, "Officer, I am recording this interaction for my protection. I will remain non-interfering." Legal backing. Federal courts, including the First and Ninth Circuits, have affirmed that recording public officials in public spaces is protected under the First Amendment, as long as it does not interfere with their duties. Practical tips for traffic stops. Keep hands visible at all times. Avoid sudden movements or aggressive gestures. Speak in a calm, steady tone. Ask questions once, politely, and listen carefully. Document the stop if legally allowed. Smartphones are widely accepted. Your words, tone, and awareness can prevent escalation, protect your constitutional rights, and keep encounters safe. Remember, confrontation is never the goal. Clarity, calmness, and knowledge are your best tools. Here's the final question for you. If you were stopped tomorrow and asked to remain while a driver was investigated, which safe phrase would you use, and why? Share your answer in the comments below. I want to see how you'd handle it. If you found this video helpful and want more professional legal breakdowns of real-world interactions, subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon so you never miss an update, and tell me in the comments what legal scenario or traffic stop topic you want me to cover next. Your awareness can protect you, your friends, and your family in everyday interactions with law enforcement. Stay informed, stay respectful, and always know your rights. The law is your shield when used correctly.